history that we were all taught growing up is wrong. My name is Scott Wolter, and I'm a forensic geologist. There's a hidden history that nobody knows about. There are pyramids, chambers, tombs, inscriptions. They're all over the world. We're going to investigate these artifacts and sites, and we're going to get to the truth. Sometimes history isn't what we've been told. I often find myself investigating evidence of voyages to the United States by brave pre-Columbian explorers who came here before 1492. I think the Templars, the Celts, and the Vikings all fall into this group. But remains unearthed in a Florida peat bog back in 1982 could be those of some of the very first people to come to what's now North America. People who arrived more than 8,000 years ago. It's a controversial theory with huge implications. A local woman who contacted me believes when the truth comes out about where these people came from, it could change what we know about the early human history of America. I want to learn more about the bones of the prehistoric people who once lived here. Their bones were immaculately preserved, which should help me figure out both who they were and where they came from. So Candida, I'm really glad that you contacted me. Your email was very interesting, to say the least. These bog people, they're fascinating. How did you first find out about the bog people?
I came across the bog people on a documentary a few years back. And I've been studying everything I could on the subject since I found out about them.
This was discovered in, what, 1982?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. There was a construction company developing a new subdivision.
Okay.
During the construction, they found these skulls, and they called in the police because they thought that there had been a murder.
Really?
Yes.
How many bodies did they find?
They found about 100 bodies perfectly intact, brain matter and everything. They even found the contents of food they had eaten in their stomachs.
But why did you bring me out here?
Well, I brought you out here because I can't actually take you to the site itself,
okay,
but I wanted you to see the environment that they were buried in.
Oh, okay, just get a sense of what the site is like.
Right.
Okay. And actually, as I look out over the bog here, the preservation conditions had to be perfect for brain matter to be preserved. There's two things that you need that we do have here. One is you have to have a neutral pH. If it was more acidic here in the bog conditions, that would promote decomposition. The other thing is there's very little, if any, oxygen in the water, so what we call anoxic conditions, which also does not promote decomposition. So the two things that you need, you have here, and it makes it just perfect for preserving these bodies. What's important about these prehistoric bodies is what they tell us about America's earliest inhabitants. Archaeologists say the first migration took place around 13,000 BC. In school, we're taught that the first people to America migrated from Asia across the Bering Strait using a land bridge that's today submerged underwater. This theory is called the Clovis theory, because Clovis, New Mexico is where the first tools attributed to these people were found. Some experts believe the Clovis people were the ancestors of today's Native Americans. To date, there have been at least 7 further sites thought to be connected to the Clovis people. So, could the bodies discovered here be Clovis settlers who made it all the way to Florida? Or did the mysterious people buried here come from somewhere else? What else can you tell me about these bog people?
Well, there's some controversy around them. The accepted theory on them is they were Clovis people.
Back when I went to school, I was taught that people that originated from Asia migrated over the Bering Strait land bridge into what is now North America. These people were considered what they call Clovis. This would be the time period towards the end of the Great Ice Age. This was the time of the great mammals like giant sloths, cave bears, saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths, and many people believe that the Clovis people hunted them. So that's possible that they could have come via that route. What do you think?
I'm not really buying into that.
You're not?
No.
What do you think is the truth?
I believe they could be European. Is that nuts?
European?
Yes.
No, I don't think that's nuts at all. In fact, many scholars today are beginning to question whether or not the Clovis people were the first people to come to North America. If these bog people came from Europe, like Candida believes, it doesn't make sense to me that they'd have come from the West. A journey from Europe to Florida across the Bering Strait land bridge would be an almost 15,000-mile trip, which seems crazy. But as a geologist, I also know that a sheet of ice may have extended from Europe to North America, and that distance would only be around 5,000 miles, making it a much more reasonable route to take. If a prehistoric link to Europe could be proven, it'd be a huge deal. You know, you sent me a photograph that I wanted to look at. So this is the skull from one of the bog people, right?
Yes.
Was there any DNA testing that was done?
There was DNA testing done, and it hasn't been published. However, I heard it was European DNA and not Native American like they initially thought it would be.
European?
Yes.
Do you realize how important this would be if even one of these bodies came back with European DNA? This would be explosive and would rewrite a huge chapter of American history. This is something we have to get to the bottom of. When it comes to the history of North America, most of us have been taught the only people who lived here in prehistoric times came across a land bridge that stretched from Asia to Alaska during the last ice age. While no one challenges that migration story, some experts are starting to question whether the people who traveled to America along that route were really the first. In Florida, I'm discovering new evidence that could force a rewrite of our past. A staggering amount of skeletal remains, bones from 168 people, were buried in a bog here, and a local woman told me something shocking. She thinks there's reason to believe these skeletons are European. Because she was denied access to the site where the bones were found, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm about to. I'm meeting a bioarchaeologist who has special access to the Windover Bog. Because she's someone who studies bones found at archaeological sites, I'm hoping she can tell me about this place and the prehistoric people who lived here. So Rachel, tell me, what is so significant about this site?
Well, the site is significant for several factors. One, it's very ancient. It dates to over 7,000 years old, so that makes it significant because a lot of those ancient sites don't last in the archaeological record. There were 168 individuals excavated from the base of this pond, so it's a very large cemetery. It was probably used for many, many hundreds of years, and the preservation is so good. So we have a large population of very well-preserved skeletons.
So really what we're talking about archaeologically is a site that's really a gold mine, right?
Yes, it truly is.
How was this site first discovered?
Well, like most archaeological sites in Florida, it was discovered by accident.
Okay.
A backhoe operator was scooping out the muck from the base of the pond back in 1982 when the housing development was first constructed and happened to spot human remains.
So I remember reading in your book how he picked up this bowling ball-sized rock, rolled it over, and saw these two dark eyes of the skull staring at him. That must have freaked him out.
Yes, it did. I mean, originally he thought he had stumbled on some sort of murder, and it wasn't until they brought in experts and realized that this was an archaeological site that the excavations began. So if we walk right down here, I'll show you the site.
Great. So this is the site.
This is the pond.
Okay, so just to clarify, you call this a pond, not a bog.
Well, it's a little of both. It's a very mucky pond, but it is a boggish environment. And I mean, these are heavy layers of peat that have built up, which is basically what a bog is.
Well, obviously, at the time of the dig, it didn't look like this.
No, it didn't. When they did the excavations, of course, they had to drain the pond to get at the burials down in the base. So each season they came out from 1984 to 1986, they drained the pond and then filled it in after each year.
Okay. So the geochemical conditions of this bog, or pond as you call it, were so unique to allow the preservation of people. I mean, that in itself is amazing. But help me understand, who were these people and where did they come from?
Well, where they came from is still part of the mystery of finding out who these people were. We have to get DNA, and obtaining DNA from ancient remains is really difficult in the Americas because the preservation is usually not very good. Windover is an exception because these burials came from a pond, and the preservation was such that we can get DNA.
Based on examining the remains of these 168 people, what was the primary causes of death for these people?
They had a lot of fractures, but most of them appear accidental in nature. There wasn't any indication that they were involved in a lot of battles or interpersonal violence. What we could see at Windover is a lot of infection, arthritis, dental disease. We were able to tell a lot about life and health 7,000 years ago in Florida.
Pretty tough life back then.
Oh, yes.
Why would these people have buried their dead in a pond?
We have the theme of water permeating a lot of Aboriginal populations. It's part of their origin myths, so whether water signified something to them in their belief system, these are very complex burials. These individuals were buried with items they used in life, tools, weaponry, items of adornment. They were wrapped in hand-woven textiles, and they were placed in this pond probably with great ceremony. This is not a simple way to bury someone.
I was recently on an airboat ride into the swamps here, looking at the bogs and the organic material, similar to what we have here. And my understanding is there were two things: the neutral pH that was present here to help with the preservation, and the conditions, which are critical for fossil preservation. Is that correct?
That is correct. These were the perfect conditions for the preservation of skeletons.
So tell me about some of the DNA work that took place.
The DNA work, of course, is key to finding out where these people originated.
Right.
And what the DNA tells us is that the people from Windover came from Asian stock, as we believe all Native Americans came from. That's what the DNA indicates at this point. Of course, we're still making new discoveries each year.
But where did this specific information come that this site had European DNA?
When they first identified the particular haplogroup for Windover, they had also identified that in European stock. So initially the conclusion was, oh my gosh, there's a connection here. But what they have since found is that haplogroup originated in Asia. It's a very ancient haplogroup, and it's very unique in North America. Windover is one of very few that has this signature, but everything we have found indicates that these people came from Asia.
So you're saying there was nothing found here that indicates a European origin at all, is that correct?
The skeletons, the DNA, the artifacts are typical of what we find here in North America for that time period. We're still trying to tease out when people arrived in the Americas, how they got here, whether they walked via land bridges or skirted the coast using watercraft. And then there are some that believe they didn't come from Asia at all, that there were some migrants coming over from across the Atlantic. And it's very controversial.
It is controversial.
But I know that someone at the Smithsonian is examining a possible connection between European culture and ancient Native Americans.
Really?
Yes.
So there's somebody at the Smithsonian who is investigating the possibility of a European origin for Native Americans here in the United States? Well, if that's true, that is a big deal, and I have to go check it out. I'm investigating America's ancient history. I'm questioning if the earliest people to come to America thousands of years ago may not have been who we thought, or have come from where we've been taught. The established prehistory of our country says migrants known as the Clovis people got here first, by crossing a land bridge from Asia around 15,000 years ago. But what if that's all wrong? Some believe ancient travelers may have crossed an ice sheet, arriving in North America even earlier, but from the other direction entirely. I've met a woman in Florida who believes that immaculately preserved skeletons found in a peat bog could be European, while the bioarchaeologist I just met disagrees. But even if the skeletons aren't European, someone does believe prehistoric European travelers made it to America. And that someone comes from the last place I'd expect, the dusty halls of the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian is known for housing some of the most renowned artifacts, from the Hope Diamond, thought to be the world's largest blue diamond, to the Star-Spangled Banner that inspired the U.S. national anthem, to the hat worn by Abraham Lincoln on the night of his assassination. The Smithsonian houses some of the world's most valuable treasures. But they are not known for challenging the status quo. There are even legends and conspiracy theories suggesting the Smithsonian withholds evidence to suppress the truth. That's why it's shocking to me that my next clue could be hidden behind these doors. Well, Dennis, I'm curious, what do you think about the urban legends about the Smithsonian is hiding artifacts?
Oh, well, the artifacts that we curate and take care of here are properties of the people of, I'd say, the world.
Okay.
And if you make an appointment, we'll show you anything we have.
I'm going to take you up on that.
All right.
And what I'm trying to understand better is the first peopling of Americas. Maybe, in fact, it came from Europe across the ice bridge down into North America.
Well, the evidence that we found supports that idea almost 100%. It looks like Ice Age Europeans did get to North America probably 23,000 years ago.
That's not what I was taught in school.
Me either.
Dr. Stanford's theory is revolutionary. He believes that the Salutrians, a group of ancient people from modern-day France, traveled to America sometime between 14,000 and 25,000 years ago, predating even the Clovis people, who were thought to have been here first around 15,000 years ago. Stanford thinks the Salutrians migrated from the east coast of the United States and shared their distinctive tool-making skills with Clovis people who came from the west. The Clovis people used advanced stone tools, eerily similar to tools found in Salutra, France. Explain to me this migration of the Salutrian people from Europe to North America. How did that happen?
Well, basically, let's look at this map here. You see that these people are all along what's currently the north coast of Spain and southwest France. But during the Ice Age, the coast was clear out here because of the lower sea level.
So you created more land out into what is now the ocean where these people were living, and now it's under 200-300 feet of water.
Well, for instance, right here, there's over 400,000 acres that are now underwater that would have been available for people and animals to utilize. Where do people like to live? You know, when you turn on the satellite view of the world at night, where's most of the light?
Along the coastline.
Right on the coastlines.
Right.
And the coast is an easier place to make a living than any place else. What do you really need during a real cold period is fat.
Right.
And seals are the primary thing they're after.
Wait a minute. Now, what you're suggesting is they would have to have boats.
Boats have been around for 50,000 years. When you have a boat, water bodies such as oceans, rivers, lakes, no longer barriers, they're highways.
So what you're suggesting is we had a migration or a movement from Europe to North America?
Well, that's what the ultimate outcome is.
So the Salutrian people were living here and then began to migrate, feeding off the seals and making their way west.
They no doubt landed and worked their way south over the years. As a matter of fact, here's a specimen, which is a Salutrian type biface called the laurel leaf.
Okay.
And this one was found at the intersection of the James and Appomattox River in Virginia.
Really?
But guess what? It's made out of flint from France.
Wait a minute. So you're saying this piece here was found in Virginia, what is now Virginia, but the rock itself, this chert, is French chert?
Yes, exactly. So somebody brought this rock or this artifact from Europe to Virginia.
That's the only thing that could have happened.
Absolutely.
And what time did that happen?
Well, the artifact itself dates probably around 20,000 years old. These are all local rocks from Virginia.
This is getting into some pretty controversial territory. You realize that, right?
Totally.
Dennis Stanford's vast collection of artifacts supports the idea of a Salutrian migration to America more than 20,000 years ago. Even though Dr. Rachel Wentz in Windover told me the DNA of the Bog people in Florida wasn't European, not everyone agrees, and I think it's important to hear what Dennis thinks. So Dennis, I was recently in Florida and I looked at these bog people I'm sure you've heard about. Could this suggest down in Florida that there were Salutrian and Clovis people from Europe that came down there?
Actually, I think it might, because the DNA that they think these people had comes from Europe. And it probably came from Europe around 23,000 years ago.
Dennis's belief that there is a connection between the bog people and ancient Europe contradicts what I heard from the expert at the site. Dennis speculates that even if the 7,000-year-old bog people are not the Salutrians, there's still an important connection.
I think they're definitely the descendants of the Salutrians, without a doubt. We're getting a lot of these Salutrian kind of artifacts in Florida as well, I might add.
Really?
But what's really interesting is this engraving of a mammoth that's on a fragment of a bone from an extremely large animal. So with this size animal, it would have to be either a mammoth, a mastodon, or a ground sloth.
And doesn't that tell us something about the age right there?
That tells us that it's at least over 11,000 years old, which is when these animals all went extinct. Some people think that this is a mammoth, but I don't, because of the configuration of the back of the animal. It fits better a mastodon than it does a mammoth.
Mammoth and mastodons are related, but mastodons were slightly smaller with shorter legs, a lower, flatter head, and an average height of 6 to 9 feet, in contrast to the 9 to 12 foot tall mammoth. Fossils for both creatures have been found in North America, having been hunted by man. Well, I have to say, Dennis, you say it's a mastodon. Some people say it's a mammoth. Why does it matter?
Because there are no mastodons in Europe. There are only mammoths.
So it couldn't have been copied from European cave art is really what that means.
Exactly. We've examined this in great detail, and there's absolutely nothing on the specimen itself that says fake.
Who found this?
A gentleman by the name of James Kennedy found it.
Dennis, this is amazing stuff, and it really hits me hard personally because I was taught that the peopling of the Americas came from Asia, across the Bering Strait land bridge into the Americas. But your work suggests that the peopling of America, that was part of the story, but in fact, the new chapter is coming from what is Europe into what is now the Americas. And this bone here seems to be a key piece of evidence to support this new theory. I mean, this changes the paradigm in a huge way. I'm returning to Florida on a mission to discover if prehistoric Europeans were actually the first to make it to America. The established historical record says that Native Americans crossed a land bridge from Asia to North America around 13,000 BC. And while no one's downplaying the incredibly rich Native American culture, what I've learned is that Ice Age explorers from Europe may have also made it here, perhaps even 20,000 years ago. One of the pieces of evidence is a carving found by a man in Florida. It's the oldest piece of art ever found in North America, and it's a critical clue in what amounts to a prehistoric mystery. So you're the guy who found the mammoth carving?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to understand who the first humans were to North America. Did they come from Asia, like is the prevailing theory, or did they come from Europe? And then I talked to Dennis Stanford, and he's absolutely convinced that the first people that came here were Europeans, the Salutrians from around France. The big piece of evidence that really got him excited was your amazing discovery. So
Yeah.
I want to learn more about that.
Well, I've got one of the replicas that the Smithsonian made
Is that
for
it
me.
over there?
Yeah, hold on, let me get it for you. This isn't exactly the same one. This is one of the casts.
Tell me a little more about it. How did you find it?
Well, the story's kind of funny. This thing sat under my sink for 2.5 years at least.
Really?
Yeah, I went to a dig site that we have that's private, and we collected a bunch of bones that day, put them in a box. I was going to take them down to the flea market and give them away to some children there. I took the bone out and I rinsed it off. I was standing over my sink, and the light above my sink caught it just right, and I noticed the engraving on it.
This is one of the most important artifacts ever found in North America. Well, what did you think when you first saw it?
Well, honestly, I'm not an archaeologist. I wasn't, aware of just how important it was.
So how did Dennis Stanford find out about it?
I called the Smithsonian Institution and the head of archaeology there.
So obviously the word began to spread. What was the reaction of the scholars and other archaeologists?
Total skepticism until they saw it.
Really?
Yes. Every single test that there was known to man, this has been put through. There have been archaeologists here from Europe, all over the world. All of them have done one thing. They all agree that it's real.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I don't find it unbelievable, and I don't find it a stretch at all. To me, it seems quite reasonable, and now the evidence is starting to come forward, and this is a key piece to that whole question. Who came to America first? Sounds like the Salutrians.
Yes, and human beings always tend to surprise us. Every year we find out something new. In 1855, if they would have told you, well, we're going to be on the moon, they would have thrown you out of the village.
I mean, this artifact all by itself can change the history of North America. People coming here had to have been from Europe.
Yes, I agree. In fact, this whole area in Vero Beach has a history of ancient artifacts and relics.
Really?
Yes, it does. And I have an old friend we could meet at one of those sites, the Vero Man site, to give you a lot of history on that.
Well, let's go.
Okay.
The discovery of James's carving is having a big impact on this area of Florida and causing experts to take another look at other ancient archaeological finds. The Vero site is one of them. Located 75 miles south of the Windover Bog, where the Bog people were found, the Vero site was first excavated in 1915. Bones from at least 5 different people were discovered and dated back to the Ice Age. At the time they were discovered, people thought there were no humans in America before 6,000 years ago. So finding human bones here with extinct Ice Age mammals, like the mastodon and mammoth, changed our understanding of the past. Now there's renewed interest in excavating this area, something that might again change what we think we know about our history. I want to see this site for myself, and I'm interested in James's historian friend named Gene Roddenberry, who shares a name with the creator of TV Star Trek. Well, Gene, it was nice of you to join us here today.
It's a pleasure, pleasure.
And I have to ask.
Yes?
Any connection to that Gene Roddenberry of Star Trek fame?
He and I had the same great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Okay, so there is. That's cool.
Yes.
I was recently at the Windover site looking at the Bog people, a cemetery that has bodies there that date back to at least 7,000, maybe 8,000 years ago. James mentioned the Vero site, that there were human remains also found here
That is correct.
with big creatures, right?
Very big creatures.
Okay. What do you know about that?
Well, this site, originally, what you have is an excavation for a canal that was dug in 1915, I believe.
Okay.
And they started digging a large Pleistocene megafauna bones up. Megatherium, giant ground sloth, mastodon, turtle, deer, alligator, horse,
So they were found together with human bones.
right in here. What makes James mastodon carving so important is that until the middle of the 1800s, nobody knew what a mastodon looked like. All they had was bones.
Right.
Whoever etched that mastodon had to have seen one. That's what makes it so important.
You know, most people don't realize that giant mammoths and mastodons and these huge mammals live together with humans. I mean, humans actually hunted them, so they definitely were together. There's no question about that. Do you think that the human remains found here could be related to ancient Europeans that came over here?
It's certainly possible.
Okay. Well, those bones would be really important to study then. Where are they now?
The early finds here are lost. Nobody knows where they are.
I mean, they're completely gone.
Completely gone.
Do you think that's by accident, or do you think there's something going on?
It's certainly possible.
But in this particular case, what we need is some fresh evidence.
This place is absolutely a treasure trove of fossils and different pieces here.
In this whole argument, were the Salutrians here first, or is it Clovis? There needs to be more evidence collected, so it can't be denied any longer. I'm in Florida, where the discovery of bodies in a bog, an 11,000-year-old carving of a mastodon, and old bones have the potential to rewrite history. Evidence like this suggests the Salutrians, a group of people from prehistoric France, traveled from Europe to North America over 20,000 years ago. But I want to find more. This whole area of Florida is littered with fossils that could be connected to this mystery. And if anyone can help me find fossils, it's James Kennedy. He's an avid fossil hunter and the one who discovered what's possibly the oldest man-made carving in the United States. Hey, James.
Hey, man.
Great day to get out there. I'm ready to see if we can find some more evidence that ancient cultures from Europe made it here to Florida, maybe dating back as far as 25,000 years ago, according to Dennis Stanford. And that bone you found with the mammoth carving on it, there could be another one, couldn't there?
Well, I don't think an artist would only make one painting. There's a lot of stuff out here. This place is rich in fossils. I've found in my whole life I've been digging this stuff up.
So you think we have a chance?
Yes, sir. I say we go.
We're not going to find anything sitting here talking about
Right
it.
here. Let's go.
All right. James is taking me to a place near where he found his carving. I want to look for more fossils that could figure into this mystery. Looks like some rock on that edge of that beach over there, and there's some on this side too. The area he's taking me to is known as the Spoil Islands. These islands are made of material the Army Corps of Engineers tossed aside when they dug out canals here in the 1940s. Geologically, this is an ideal place to find fossils. Ancient bones that may once have been buried under layers of soil were upturned when these islands were created. If I can find fossils of creatures like ancient mastodons or mammoth here, then they could also contain carvings that might tell us who was here first. So you like this spot, huh?
Yeah, I like this. This is good.
So what am I looking for?
Well, mainly the texture on it. You look for the bone marrow a lot of times. That you find a lot of because most of these pieces are broken. You'll have a smooth side and a rough side. The main color we're looking for is the tan and red, like rust red, because of the iron ore content in the ground here the bone absorbs lots of that.
Okay.
Then
Well,
the
there's a
dark
lot of
black.
rocks here that have that color.
Well, that's why we got to go through them.
So shape 2, I suppose, if it
Yes.
looks like a bone.
Yep, look
Probably
for the
is
shape.
a bone, right?
Yes.
Let's find something.
Let's find it, brother.
Hey, is this something?
Yes, it is. That's crocodile.
So
See
that's
these
bone.
pits? That's crocodile jaw.
Okay.
Is what that is. Absolutely.
So I got one.
Yeah, that's it.
What's that?
Looks like bone.
Another one?
There it is.
That's 2.
That's mammoth or mastodon's what that is.
That's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's part of the other guy we found over there, I'm sure.
Nice. Wait a minute, what's that?
That's mastodon tooth.
This is mastodon?
Yeah, look at the knuckles.
Wait a minute, is that a tooth? That's a tooth.
That's a piece of the tooth.
Shut up.
Oh.
Is that really? That's mastodon.
That's
isn't
a
it? You know, I
mastodon
think it
tooth.
is. Look at
Yes,
that.
it is.
See how it's worn right there?
Yeah, that's where he was chewing.
And the points right here? Hey,
This is what I told
give me
you,
some,
brother.
man.
Yeah.
Mastodon.
Yeah.
Here's what we've got so far. The human bones that were found at the Windover Bog site and at Vero Beach absolutely proves that there were human beings here at least 8,000 years ago. And Dr. Stanford's evidence at the Smithsonian was very compelling. He thinks, and I think he's right, that the Salutrians came over here from Europe perhaps as long ago as 25,000 years. And that mammoth bone you found with the carving absolutely supports Dennis Stanford's theory that it was the Europeans that came over here. The evidence is mounting to the point where it's impossible to deny.
And I agree with you on that. And the mammoth carving that I found is very much so the proof all I ever needed and Dr. Stanford. But I also have something else I want to show you too, Scott.
You have something else?
I have only showed this to a few of the experts, a few of the scientists, and I've waited for this time to talk to you and show you. I have another carving.
You do?
Yes, I do. And this one not only shows the animals from the Ice Age, it shows human interaction with those animals.
All right, we're done collecting. Let's go look at it.
Let's go.
All right, man.
Amen. There you go. Take your eyepiece and look at this. After the other piece, I started going through all the ones I took from that area, and there it was.
And this is the original piece.
Yes. If you look here, you'll see a man holding a spear over his head.
Yeah.
There's another carving here. It's a fish.
What? Whoa. And it's got an eye there. No way. Where did you find this?
Same place.
As the mastodon carving.
Yes.
Well, if this was found together with the mastodon carving, and Dennis Stanford said it was at least 13,000 years, which would not be Clovis, this has got to be a Salutrian man right here. This is amazing. I like this better than the mastodon.
I do too.
Has Dennis Stanford seen this yet?
No, he knows about it.
Do you realize what you have here?
Not really. I've kept it more of a secret.
This is amazing. Scientifically, this changes everything about the history of our country. Right here, we could have a Salutrian man, a man that dates back over 13,000 years, maybe even back 25,000 years here in North America. This could be one of the first North Americans ever to come here. After leaving Florida, there was little doubt in my mind that the Salutrians from Europe did make it to America. But the truth is, it doesn't matter who was first. What does matter is that their stories are told. From the people whose remains were discovered in the Windover Bog, to the mastodon carving, to the Native Americans and Clovis people who made an epic journey across the Bering Strait land bridge long ago, what's important is that they're all part of the same story. The story of America. The story of people who've been working alongside each other, no matter where they're from, sharing ideas, technology, and creating a home for thousands of years.